Are you troubled by strange noises in the night?
Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic?
Have you or any of your family ever seen a spook, specter, or ghost?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Pick up the phone and call the professionals.
Ghostbusters!
Ghostbusters!
Ghostbusters. But first of all, I would just like to fill everyone in on where we are with things. We're about to start filming on our two new series. One is the 80s magazine show, which we got funded through Indiegogo. Thank you very much. And the other is our new series called Retro Collectors, isn't it, Greg?
Oh, yeah.
Where we go out and find retro things for your delight.
To be honest, Jace, you just do all this. I'll just turn up, don't I? So
yeah.
Whatever you've got planned, but I'll just be there.
It'll be good.
What are we doing in there?
We're collecting retro things.
Oh, the spying one.
Yes.
Yeah, aren't we going to be spying?
We've got glasses cameras, if that's what you mean, to film. Yeah. Yes.
So we'll be going in like shops and
finding bargains and retro things.
Sounds fascinating.
It will be. But anyway, today we're talking about Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters!
I know you were going to do that, Greg. Ghostbusters released in 1984, as we know, on the same day as Gremlins.
We spoke about that before, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
Yes.
And it was in July, if I'm not mistaken. June. June the 7th was the day that all the geeks in the world...
You included?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I remember. I don't know if I knew that they were released on the same day, to be honest.
What year was it?
1984.
So I was 4.
Ghostbusters released with a PG certificate.
What do you think of that?
Is surprising, isn't it, really? Because even the bit in the library at the beginning is scary stuff, isn't it? I mean, I haven't let my kids watch this film because I think it's too scary. But to be fair, wasn't particularly aimed at kids, was it?
No, but it's like most films, isn't it? I think they thought they can sell the product to kids. Figures.
Well, that's the other thing with Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters!
They didn't bring out any merch straight away. The merch only came along with the real Ghostbusters cartoon a couple of years later. Merchandise.
Right. Are you being hip?
That's what we say in the biz, Greg. Merch.
In the biz that's called show?
Yeah. So yeah, you had to wait a couple of years to buy any merchandise. There wasn't any film release merchandise, if you like. It was all based on the real Ghostbusters cartoon, I think.
I remember more about the cartoon, I think.
I remember Ghostbusters the movie was one of the first movies I remember longing to go and see at the cinema. And my cousin went to see it and I was really jealous. And never did see it at the cinema. Didn't see it till it came out on VHS. They didn't even bring it to our town for Cinema in the Sticks. Can't believe it, can you?
Shocked.
So yeah, VHS was the first time I saw it. And it's one of the films that I don't own big box VHS of. So we'll have to find that in the summer when we do Retro Collectors. I've got a Laserdisc, yeah, with Ghostbusters 1 and 2 on. So
was it ever made for a sequel?
No. They didn't plan a sequel when it was first made, but it was so successful there was a sequel.
Do you think they thought it was going to be successful?
Yeah, well, nobody goes into a film thinking it's going to be a flop, do they?
Man of Steel?
Well, they didn't know it was going to be a flop.
It didn't flop, did it?
Well, no, I don't suppose
it did in our eyes.
Well, it didn't, because they're making Superman versus Batman. And the less said about that, the better. We'll talk about that when it comes out.
Well, we're doing another one later anyway, won't we? Superman 3 later on.
Yeah. Ghostbusters had a budget of $30 million. How much did it make?
Isn't it?
How much did it make at the box office?
At the box office? That's got to be... $500?
$295.2 million, but I think that's just domestic. That's just US. So you're probably around about right. 500.
That's ridiculous, isn't it?
Worldwide box office.
You can see why they're pushing to do a third one, even now.
Yeah, I think we probably need to save that for another podcast because we've got things that we think about that, haven't we?
Well, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
That's all the ladies just turned off, Greg, because they're really happy there's a Ghostbusters
not because
film
of the ladies being in it, just because they're not doing it with the originals. It's nothing to do with that.
So, Ghostbusters was...
It's a really good cup of tea today, that is.
Thanks. I didn't make it.
No, I made it, didn't I?
But thanks anyway.
Yeah, thanks.
So, Ghostbusters was an idea that was pitched by Dan Aykroyd, and he originally wanted it as a vehicle for him and James Belushi and the Saturday Night Live team that were around at the time. And if I remember rightly, it was a bit more ridiculous in that it was set in outer space and on Earth. And
what, the original concept?
Yeah.
How can it be out of space? What do
I
you mean?
don't know what he had in mind, to be honest. But I remember seeing an interview with Ivan Reitman where he said that to make the original script and concept that Dan Aykroyd had would have cost hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars and would never have ever got made. So it's a good job they came up with Ghostbusters as it is now. And they didn't have he didn't have a backstory either, so you didn't know why they became Ghostbusters or anything like that. But you do in the film, obviously. It doesn't dwell on it for a long time, does it? But you see them all at the university and at their professors and that kind of thing.
God, even I forgot about that bit.
Yeah.
That's how short it is then in the film, like you said, because I don't even remember that bit.
Well, you've got the bit at the beginning where Peter Venkman is doing the tests with the girls, students. I can't remember, there's a name for that test where they show them, ask them what you're looking at, and it's the wavy lines or the square or the triangle. PK test or something like that it's called. Well, he's doing that with the girl, isn't he? And he's shocking the lad on purpose.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
getting it wrong. Remember all of that?
Yeah.
So that's all at the beginning when it's all being set, and then...
Right.
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. I don't feel like you've actually said anything for the last...
No, you carry on. No, yeah, but there's certain things that you're a fan of more than I am, and you're more of a fan of Ghostbusters than I am. I've watched it a million times. I just can't remember certain bits like you would. Like the next one we talk about, Superman 3. I'll just keep going.
Yeah.
All right.
So where was I? Yeah. So they establish the backstory at the beginning, don't they? And that they want to become Ghostbusters, and then they make the TV ad and all of that. And then they become so busy they have to take on another Ghostbuster, Winston Zedmore.
Yeah, that's right. I do remember one. Get a secretary.
Yeah, Janine.
See what I mean? I wouldn't know the name. Well done.
We got one. That was a good impression, wasn't it?
I honestly thought you'd turn the video on then.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Jason, turn that video off.
It's not a video though, is it? It's you.
No, it was me. We got one.
Amazing.
I know.
Unbelievable.
I know.
Such
So
a hero.
yeah, it had a budget of that much. It was a concept originally by Dan Aykroyd for him and James Belushi, but unfortunately James Belushi passed away. We know that.
So what was he playing then? What part?
I would have thought it was the Peter Venkman type role.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But then...
I wouldn't have thought that role. Because he was more of the comedy one, wasn't
Yeah, well, they both were, but I think the script would have probably been very different had it been just Dan Aykroyd and James Belushi. I think they were the only two Ghostbusters.
he? Oh, no others?
It wasn't called Ghostbusters. I can't remember what the concept was called. Don't know. Put in your own word there. Chasers, catchers, hunters, whatever. But anyway, it wasn't called Ghostbusters. Incidentally, they had to apply to use the name, didn't they? Because there was already a cartoon around by Filmation, the same people who did He-Man,
yeah.
called Ghostbusters, and that in turn was based on a 70s live-action TV series, I think, called Ghostbusters. So the name had been around for a while, and obviously became a problem when they wanted to do their own cartoon.
That's why they're called the real Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Ah,
There you
do you
go.
know? See, even I, for
You
years
learn
and years,
something, don't you, Greg?
for years and years, I wanted to know why is the cartoon called the real Ghostbusters.
It's not just a podcast; it's an education.
It's the only reason I'm here, Jason. Yeah, that's it then. Because in actual fact, the fact they call it the real Ghostbusters as a child watching it, it's not the real Ghostbusters, is it? It's a cartoon.
Yeah.
So the real Ghostbusters is the film. But
Well, that was the problem for me when I was a kid, because the characters in the cartoon didn't really resemble the film characters all that much. Didn't have their likeness. You know, what I mean? Like Egon's got blonde hair and all of that. And I used to think that it was a rip-off of the film, but it wasn't. It was the real Ghostbusters, as it said. It's the official one that was a spin-off from the film.
well done, Jace.
Thanks.
That's actually the reason I'm a bit quiet, because I'm very interested in that.
I haven't seen any of the Filmation series, have you? The Ghostbusters, the cartoon.
original one?
Yeah.
No.
I
Well,
think
I might
it was
have
on
done that.
around about the same time.
Would they be able to put two on together? then?
Yeah, well, the Filmation thing, they had the rights to the name, didn't they? So
That's a real. Just by putting the real in, they got away with it.
yeah, and it obviously outperformed the other one because of the film and all of that.
Wow. Amazing.
There
Well
you
done,
go.
Jace.
Thanks.
Very, very well done.
You learned something, don't you?
I
Greg?
have actually. Yeah. Carry on then. Tell me some more.
So it was released on June the 7th
You've said that.
once. Then June the 8th was its big release. It was only released on June the 7th in one state, I think. I can't remember why. but on June the 8th was its general release, so the day after, same day as.
You've actually made me think of something else as well. The fact that there was no merchandise. There literally was nothing, was there? I mean, you think what they could have done. Like you said, it was all the cartoon, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There was nothing out for that film.
Well, like I said, I don't think they thought it was a kids' film at all, so I don't think they thought about a line of merchandise or anything like that. I think they were going for sort of, an adult comedy kind of thing.
Oh, see, you're making me think about all this now, because I remember. I obviously don't clearly remember the film coming out, but there was nothing out. It was all the cartoon stuff. You're right.
But saying it wasn't aimed at kids, how old was I in '84? Well, it might have been '85 by the time it came out here, because there used to be a gap, didn't there? Probably was '84, so I was sort of 8 or 9, and like I said, it's the first film that I really remember longing to go and see at the cinema. And the only way that we would have known anything about it was what we'd read in magazines,
TV
or
adverts,
possibly seen a TV trailer, and talking about it with your friends, and getting yourselves excited about it.
The cool thing to see at school, wasn't it?
Yeah.
See, I've been lucky enough to go to Disneyland World in Florida, where they did a lot of the filming, and it's incredible because it's all just cardboard cutouts. Where they obviously not all of it was filmed there, but like where they're filming for the library, that's just a cardboard cutout sometimes.
Right.
It's amazing. It's incredible what they do, and it's about like 12 inches thick.
There is a guy on YouTube, Herve. He's a French guy, Herve Attia. I'm probably saying that wrong. I've shown you a couple of his videos, haven't I, where he does film locations.
Oh, he goes around.
Very cleverly superimposes how they look now.
Yeah.
And himself in them and things like that. And he's done a Ghostbusters one on those steps, the actual steps in wherever it is in America. So they do actually exist. It is an actual building.
Oh, yeah, I'm on about, when they did like the stuff that they probably didn't need to be there for. They just did a massive cardboard drawing of it in the background. But you still feel like you're there, though.
That thing at the beginning, I remember being really scared of that librarian when it turns around and
yeah, absolutely.
becomes...
And the Marshmallow Man. What the hell was it all about?
Well, that was a Dan Aykroyd thing all over. That's got Dan Aykroyd written all over it, hasn't it?
To be honest, though, you've got the T-shirt on right now of it.
I have, yeah.
So it obviously did work, didn't it?
Yeah. Who are you going to call?
Not the Marshmallow Man.
I mean, while we're talking about that, we might as well mention the effects, which on the whole were very good, but there were some that were bad, like the
Spit it out, Jace. You can get there.
What's the character called that Rick Moranis turns into? The cat dog thing, the hell dog thing. Is it the gatekeeper?
Oh, the one from the picture?
No.
That's
Rick
2,
Moranis,
isn't it?
yeah, Rick Moranis
I've
turns
jumped
into the
to
dog.
So I told you I know more about 2 than probably 1.
And there's a scene in the party where the dog thing bursts through the door, and the effects are just horrendous. It's stop motion effects, and it's all done with a mat, and they're must be filmed on a white or a dark background, and obviously it's just, they look horrendous. But then there are other effects like the proton streams from the proton packs, which look amazing.
Oh, they're incredible. They still fit now, don't they?
But that was layer upon layer of effects, was that. And Slimer as well was a great effect. That was a puppet. Slimer was a puppet.
You see, Slimer, in the cartoon, he was a good guy.
Yeah.
He was one of their pals.
Wasn't called Slimer originally. It was called the Onion Head Ghost.
The Onion Head?
Yeah.
Why?
That's what they called him in pre-production.
He's not an onion head, though.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I always thought when I watched the film, I never got it, because he was a bad guy in that. And yet in the film, he's one of their friends.
Yeah, in the cartoon.
Sorry, the cartoon, yeah. He's the pal of theirs.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. There's no links at all, is there?
No.
It's ridiculous.
Bill Murray didn't want to make a sequel. He didn't think it needed one.
Well, he's dead against this new one, isn't he?
Well, he still did make the sequel, though. He probably said, I really don't want to make a sequel. And then they said, well, here's $20 million. And he went, well, it's probably a good idea.
Good script.
Yeah,
good script,
Love it, yeah.
Good. He did that, though, didn't he? Beverly Hills Cop. The stories with that, and I know I'm moving on here, but it's probably the same thing. They said to him, we want to do Beverly Hills Cop 3. No. Came back, another check. No. This is him saying this. And he said, no. And they came back with 1, and he just went, all right.
Yeah. Well, you would, wouldn't you?
Oh,
we all would.
I don't blame him.
Artistic integrity.
I just... What?
Never mind, Greg.
Thanks. Yeah, I honestly don't know why they don't Maybe this is where I don't know. As a non-actor and all things like that, why wouldn't you just make as many as you can? And if they get really bad, like Police Academy, we all know it went downhill after 7 was horrendous. But you still sort of love them.
Yeah, because you probably get to a point where you don't really need the money, and so you can pick and choose your projects, and you might,
But if it's that loved and that liked, I mean, they've been calling for Ghostbusters 3
Yeah, but the trouble is
for years.
that throughout the history of film, most sequels don't ever come near the first
How
film,
dare you?
do they?
Superman 4 was phenomenal.
We've been there, haven't we, Greg?
Yes.
But and that's probably why, as an actor, you wouldn't want it to get progressively worse. If you do a great performance in the first film, and you know the second one's not going to be quite as good, and unless they paid you enough, you'd probably say no.
So, alright then, you're now, I don't know, Bill Murray.
Am I?
Yeah, now. In 1980s, whatever it is. So you've done 1, you don't really want to do 2, but you've been offered loads of money, and it actually is really good film. And then they come back and say, right, here's double the amount of money for number 3, and it's not too bad. Does your artistic take over then?
Yeah, because I don't think 2 was as great a film.
It's still a good film.
It's all right.
I think it's...
Yeah, but I'm Bill Murray.
Oh yeah, right, sorry. Hi Bill.
I was in it.
How are you?
I'm all right, thanks.
You've aged a lot. Sorry to tell you, but you...
Put a bit of weight on.
Is it? Yeah. Life's been bad, hasn't it?
I had a bad paper round.
Oh, right. So you wouldn't do a third one then?
No.
All the cast are there. They're all available.
No.
I'm talking in the 80s, not
Am
now.
I still Bill Murray or am
Yeah.
I me?
Oh, you'd be back to you now.
All right.
Would you have done it then?
I would.
Of course you would. I just don't get why they don't do these things. If it's so wanted, why aren't they doing it? There's always somebody that will say, "Oh, don't ruin it."
Yeah, but we think that it's as easy as that, don't we? But when there are so many factors involved, like a good story, a good director, getting the studio to say yes, getting a budget, and all of that, getting backers, and all that stuff that we don't ever really care about when we sit down to watch a film.
Are you telling me they'd struggle to get a budget and a backing and a studio to take on
I think there's
Ghostbusters 3?
something over the years that stopped them from doing it, and I think mainly it's the right storyline and the fact that Bill Murray has been on and off about whether he would do it or not. They kind of did another sequel with the video game, didn't they?
Yes, that was supposed to be the idea for the film, wasn't it? But if it was, it's not very good.
It's all right. I mean, the thing is, you get to fire a proton pack, don't you? You get to be
Yeah.
a trainee Ghostbuster, and that's the big...
I did buy it, but I got stuck and I got so annoyed I sold it. I've got no patience.
Did you not finish it then?
No,
Right.
I don't even know what happens. Bit disappointing.
So back to Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
the first one.
What?
What were we talking about?
I'm still thinking about why you wouldn't do sequels to it if it's that popular. I can't get my head around it.
Like I said, I don't think the second one was anywhere as near as big a hit as the first, and Bill Murray didn't really want to do it, so he probably would have been tough to convince him to do 3. Over the years, he has said he will be involved with 3, and then he said he won't, and he will, and he won't, and he's been on and off.
Why is it all about him though?
Don't know.
It could be done without him.
You either have to do it with all of them, or do what they've done. and
You
go
can't do it with
in a
all of them now anyway, can
Well,
you?
no, because poor old Egon passed away last year, didn't he? Harold Ramis, who incidentally ended up writing the finished script with Dan Aykroyd. They were the two writers. His Egon was great. He was sort of
Yeah.
he was very emotionless, wasn't he? And that made him very funny.
It was a great as a cast. I mean, I can't see. I mean, you're telling me about Belushi and all that. I can't see that being. Well, you never know, do you?
No,
you
as
you
we've
just
said
never
before,
know.
you don't know because we've seen it as it is now.
You
We love
generally
it as
never
it
know.
is.
But as a cast, it just had a bit of seriousness, like you said. There was the comedy ones, there was the silly ones. You know, there's just a bit of everything. Yeah, I'm. You're not a fan of 2. I think I quite like 2 a
I
bit
don't
more.
say I'm not a fan. It's okay. I just don't think it's as good as the first.
I think I like it more.
I think I don't think they did enough different with the story. Do you know what I mean? It was just them sort of reuniting and doing what Ghostbusters did, busting ghosts. And I don't know what else you can really do with the story, but it kind of recycled a lot of the storyline from one.
What was the budget for the second one?
Oh, I don't know. I'll have to look it up. Do you want me to look it up?
Yeah, because I think I'd imagine they went 30 million for that, and then they've gone, blimey, this is making a real.
It's warm in here, isn't it?
It is actually, yeah, but it's minus 23 outside, so it's good, really, isn't it? Go on, what's the budget?
Ghostbusters 2.
I bet you, I'm going to go with, if the first one was 30, I reckon they gave them about 90 for this.
No, 37.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm shocked.
37 million.
I'm genuine. How much,
It was 7 million more than the first one.
and how much did it take?
215 million.
It's
And the first one took 295.
still a hit, though.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Strange, that. Why they didn't give them more? Wow, $7 million more, and that was, what, 2-3 years after?
Yeah.
Weird.
So there were bits of it that I found extremely scary as a kid, and I think they're still scary, which is the reason why I haven't shown it with my kids. My kids are aware of Ghostbusters because they've seen my T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. But I wouldn't sit down and watch this with them until they're teenagers, to be honest.
Teenagers? It can be a bit younger than that, can't
I
it?
don't know. All that stuff with Zool as well, when she opens the fridge and the voice goes Zool.
Yeah, it's horrible. But it's not a horror movie.
No,
horrible.
but it's scary.
Yeah, they'll be alright.
It's not gory, it's scary.
Don't get me wrong, you know me, I'm the biggest wimp with horror films and things like that, but I've got no problem with that.
I mean, there's obviously lots of comedy in it, but... And they sometimes do put edited versions on in the afternoon on TV, don't they? So I might have to check one of those out and see if they've cut the really scary bits out of that. But then again, it got a PG rating, which again,
Is it
I'm
still
really
PG now?
surprised at. Yeah, I think so.
I don't know why we're looking down there. I'm looking at a
We
laser
haven't-
disc there that
yeah.
says PG on.
Yeah.
From the
well,
90s?
It's PG.
From the 80s, sorry.
But yeah, I'm still to this day surprised it got PG. I don't think it would now. I think it would get a 12A or something
Might do
like
now,
that.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
So,
But I think there's a tendency nowadays at the box office for them to try and get films rated lower because 18 rated films don't take as much at the box office as they used to. Adult films. Not
Paddington
adult
Bear
films.
didn't get a U,
I know.
and they were furious about that, weren't they? So if that doesn't, you're right. There's no way but there's no way that would.
And I've seen it and I don't know why it didn't get a U.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I took Lily to watch it.
Who's Lily?
My daughter.
I know that, but they don't, do they?
Lily is my daughter.
Not like a woman he's just met. Why would you go and take a woman to go and watch Paddington Bear?
Greg, you really know how to treat them, don't you?
Oh yeah. I bought them popcorn as well.
Form an orderly clue.
Clue. It's easy for you to say.
Ladies.
12. Logos. They were the best logos.
Oh yeah, Ghostbusters
2 was brilliant
logo.
as well, though. I
Yeah.
love 2. Because they could have just called it Ghostbusters 2 with the same logo, but the fact that they did this thing with his fingers coming forward, I love that.
Yeah,
I wonder what they'd done with 3.
might put 3 fingers up.
Oh, I never thought that.
Because we do have. Well, I don't know how many fingers ghosts have, but we've got 4 fingers and a thumb.
Well, on the Ghostbusters one, he's got 4. 3 fingers and a thumb.
Oh yeah, so we could do 3. He's all right.
Be screwed
As
when
long
it
as
comes
they
to
don't.
5.
Yeah. It's going to be a bit.
You know.
So Sigourney Weaver and Rick Moranis were also in it. That Rick Moranis part was offered to somebody else who turned it down, and I can't remember who it was. It's quite a big name.
Couldn't have been anybody else, really, could it? He was great.
Again, you don't know, do you? Because we haven't
No.
seen anybody else do it.
True, Jason. Very true.
But he's one of those actors who chooses not to be in the limelight anymore, isn't he, Rick Moranis?
I mean, it's not as if he didn't do enough Honey I blew up,
The
shredded up, cut
dog.
up, shrunk. Bloody dog,
Good films,
kid.
though, aren't they?
Well, it got a bit silly, didn't
Yeah,
it?
it did, yeah. As does everything, which is another reason for not making lots and lots and lots of sequels.
Yeah, but with Ghostbusters, you could have done anything. Honey, I blew up the kid. It's
Honey,
ridiculous.
we shrunk ourselves.
Yeah, oh, wasn't it getting stupid?
Honey, we blew up the dog. That was one, wasn't it?
Blew up the dog?
Have I made that one up?
I
That's
think
one
that's-
they should have made.
That's like Bone Alone. Home Alone, 1,
Yeah,
2,
but
3,
Bone Alone
4.
actually exists.
I'm Bone Alone. What on? We've spoken about it before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Bone Alone.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was that was offered that part, and it's going to bug me and bug me and bug me.
Have a look on there then. There's no way Bone Alone should have been given a U. Not with that name.
They actually introduced this technology in Ghostbusters that I think they actually pinch the names for them now, like that PK meter where it used to go. If you watch these ghost hunting programs, they now have these PK meter and they call them the same thing. And I wonder if the name was invented for Ghostbusters.
Yeah, but they're not real, are they?
What?
The PK meters.
Well, I don't know. In these ghost hunting reality TV shows, they use them.
They can't be real, can they? How would they know?
I don't know.
Ridiculous. In that case, why haven't they done a real Ghostbusters movie?
Because they're no real ghosts.
Well, if they've got a PK meter. Should be able to pick some up somewhere eventually.
Oh dear.
Maybe we need to do that, Jace.
What?
Let's do a Ghostbusters night.
What? Greg,
You live near a graveyard.
Yeah, I'm not sleeping in it.
Well, we'll just walk around with our spy glasses on. And our PK meter.
And one of those night vision cameras.
Yes.
And look really scared all night.
Look out, viewers. Coming soon.
Jason and Greg ghost hunting.
Screaming every 2 minutes.
I would be horrendous.
Oh, I would. You know me, I'm terrible.
So yeah, that's probably a bad idea.
It's not going to happen.
No.
We'll stick to retro hunting thing, whatever we're calling it.
So then they, after the film, there obviously came the computer games.
Now, you see, I had the ZX Spectrum version of that.
It was originally done for the Commodore and then just ported over to the others, like Spectrum.
It really was terrible.
Yeah. And
It never actually loaded for me properly.
you could choose which Ghostbuster you wanted to be, couldn't you? Or was that on
I
one of
never
the
got
other
that far.
versions? Except Winston.
Why?
Don't know. Were they racist, perhaps?
Yeah, but wasn't he a last minute addition to the film? Maybe that was the...
Well, no, he was part of the cast. He
Yeah, but I
was
thought he was a last minute.
employed.
Oh, I don't know. I thought he was put in last minute.
So yeah, they ported the game over to all sorts of things. The Nintendo version was the worst. The NES was terrible.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was just the same concept, but the graphics were rubbish and
Such a bad game.
yeah.
And I was so excited again. I've still got it, the cassette. And
I've got it for the Commodore. We'll have to get it out and load it up and have a go.
have you got a Commodore?
Yeah.
Of course you have. What a ridiculous question. You've got everything. We've already just established that you've got about £3 million worth of stuff.
Yeah, in this secret location.
What, in this shed? Studio. Studio.
One thing we haven't talked about, of course, is the music.
Now, you know a good story about this, don't you?
Well, if we're talking about the theme tune, it's a story that I'm sure lots of other people know too. Is that Huey Lewis sued Ray Parker Jr. because the song sounds incredibly like the Huey Lewis song "I Want a New Drug."
Well, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, and if you look on YouTube, there are mashups where they put them together and
It
it's
is.
seamless. The story goes, Huey Lewis says that the studio wanted their sound but couldn't afford them, so they went to Ray Parker Jr. quite late on. He didn't have long to write it and said, "We want something that sounds like this." Played them "I Want a New Drug," and he literally just copied the chords and sequence and everything.
Did they sue, didn't they?
They did, settled out of court eventually.
I wonder how much they got.
We'll never know. But there was a confidentiality order attached to it as well, so neither of them were allowed to talk about it. And not all that long ago, perhaps 10 years ago, Huey Lewis spoke about it in an interview. So Ray Parker Jr. tried to sue him, and I don't know what the outcome was.
They don't get on, do they?
No.
It was the same, though. I mean, I didn't know that until you showed me ages
You
ago.
were amazed, weren't you?
Oh, I
when
can't believe they
played
got
it?
away with it.
Yeah.
I can't believe to this day. I mean, was that released?
Well, he didn't get away with it, did he?
Well, no,
He got
but
sued.
Did they release that song?
Yeah, yeah.
Huey Lewis?
Yeah.
So they
Well,
didn't do very well, though.
Yeah, it was alright. Did alright. Obviously not as big a hit as Ghostbusters, so it wasn't attached to a film or anything, but...
Yeah, but I mean, I've never played that Huey Lewis version.
It wasn't a massive hit over here. Did I say over here?
Over here.
Over here.
Yes, you did. Yeah, no, I'd never heard it over here, and so it couldn't be that big. Are you reading again?
No, I just saw the name John Candy stick out there, so...
Oh,
was
he
probably
wouldn't have
in
been the part, would he?
I don't know if that was that part, but there was certainly a part that was written with him in mind, it says. So, who knows what that was.
We've gone quiet, Joe.
Yeah, it's not good, is it, on a podcast? I was
Not
just
really.
reading the figures there.
To be honest, you were
Says-
reading it, and I was looking at it as well. So, and then I forgot we was doing a podcast.
It says it grossed 242 million in the United States and another 295 million worldwide. So you were right, about right with the 500 million.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Though.
Yeah. And if you allow for inflation, how much must that be?
Oh,
now?
what? This is what I mean. How come the companies haven't pushed and pushed and pushed for another one?
Don't know. Well, they have now, and it's going to happen, but probably not as we would have wanted it to.
I don't think it's going to happen.
So the other music in the film was written by, not a name that springs to mind for modern film music, Elmer Bernstein. The soundtrack.
Elmer,
the soundtrack is really good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's in the right places. It's comedic and all of that. I really like the soundtrack for
One or two.
one. And there were stories that Elmer Bernstein wasn't very happy that they then put pop songs in, like the Ghostbusters theme and stuff like that. After he'd written the score, there were bits of the score that he'd written that weren't used and then replaced with pop songs. But that's the producer's decision. But apparently he wasn't too happy with that. It has been released on a CD, the complete score, the Elmer Bernstein score, but it was a limited run, and now it goes for a fortune when it comes up on eBay and stuff.
Well, you've made me realise, Jason, I don't know much about Ghostbusters. I thought, oh yeah, we'll sit down, we'll talk about Ghostbusters. Everyone knows about Ghostbusters, and then I realised I don't actually know. I don't even know which one's which anymore. I'm confused. I know the Marshmallow Man's one.
Yeah.
And the second one is... No, it's gone.
It's the
That's
guy
the picture.
from the picture, yeah.
The picture frame one. Yeah, that's it.
The Marshmallow Man was mostly done on a miniature set. So they built a set out of miniatures.
To be honest, Jason, I actually didn't think it was a full-blown Marshmallow Man walking down the street. If I'm really honest. It's just my little...
You mean you didn't believe it in the film?
On how it's made?
Yeah.
No. Did you?
It's an animatronic head. It's not really a Marshmallow Man either.
Again, I didn't actually think it was a proper Marshmallow Man.
Because I always liked the faces it pulled when they were frying it with the proton pack.
What, like he's on the toilet?
No, go back and watch it and watch Stay Puft's face. It's great.
What?
Pulls some really painful faces.
We will do. He's been shot. Doesn't matter if he's a marshmallow or not.
Gozar the Gozerian.
Pardon?
The lady on top of the building.
Yeah.
What was that about?
I don't know.
Why was she a lady? Not that there's anything wrong with being a lady. I'm a lady!
I'm a lady.
However...
That was 2, wasn't it?
No, that's the first one, Grace.
See, I'm confused.
Yeah, I never understood why she was... I thought it would be some great big monster or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's like this head villain. The head ghost, the head honcho, the scariest one of all. And I'm sure I read somewhere that they wanted Grace Jones to play that part.
A woman scorned, Jason.
Yeah.
I mean...
But she didn't play the part. It was a
no jetpack or proton pack can sort that out.
It was a model. She wasn't particularly a name. She was I don't know if she was a catwalk model, but she was a model that was employed to...
Sorted now, though. Bet she
Who
does all
knows?
those
She might... Yeah, I bet
conferences
she does
and all
all
that.
the conventions.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Yeah, conventions. Thanks, Jay.
Conferences.
Conferences. Thanks, Jay.
Yeah. But yeah, so for the time, for 1984, visual effects were very good, except in places. Didn't really like them. Computer game was rubbish, but the film overall we loved, didn't we?
Out of 10.
I'd have to give it...
Are we doing both?
No, this is just for
Just
Ghostbusters 1. I would have to give it 8.5.
I want to go with 7 again.
Why?
Just because... if you're talking to me, what do I think about the whole thing nostalgia-wise? It's got to be a 10, hasn't it? Because it's Ghostbusters.
Nostalgia factor. We always do 2 scores,
Yeah,
don't we?
it's got to be really high for that because everyone knows, and you always want T-shirts, and I always want T-shirts. I've got
so
Rick's bags.
my
and all that.
nostalgia factor score would be a 10.
It's got to be a 10, and I agree with that. But as a film, just about 7, really.
8.5 for me. You know you're going to have people screaming at the podcast if they're still watching at this
No
point.
one's listened to this, Jason, because it's been possibly the most boring one we've ever done.